Okay, YouTubers, I want to do a little bit of an update on the Turbo Blazer build. And this video is going to kind of give you an overview of all the small projects. My son and I set the 4.8 into the vehicle on July 3rd. So I had to get underneath there and seal up the holes that were created during the T5 phase. Previously, I had the engine 2 1/4 inches forward. That's a long story, so we won't get into that right now. But I wanted to move it back closer to the firewall to see if I could gain some clearance. I'm still a little bit concerned because the engine still seems high to me. Even with the new motor mount configuration, it just seems pretty high in the engine bay. Right now it's sitting a little proud, pretty level with these new solid/poly engine mounts. I had to get just a piece of sheet metal, a patch using rivets to fill in the hole from where the T5 used to be. But I've got it completely patched, sealed with RTV. It's actually curing right now. I did get the at least initial mounting of the Winters Sidewinder shifter into the Blazer. I end up having to build a wood frame to mount to the floorboard that would give me a better surface to mount this plastic housing. I got it where I wanted it, you know, as far as positioning for my comfort for my right arm, shifting, etc., etc. I have not hooked up the shifter cable to it, nor drilled the hole behind it in the floorboard. I'm going to do that today. This is the first rear exit shifter I've ever used, so I'm gonna have to get underneath there and just kind of get an idea of what's going on with the routing and all that. Winters gated shifter I'm using, you know, reverse, neutral, third, second. So basically when you're racing, you're just like second, slide it towards you, third. Not the rocket science, but it was a really good deal through Summit Racing, and you know, pretty much anybody can get in here and drive it without any major concerns. So let's find out what other little details we've been working on. Okay guys, I've got the update about the other little projects that I've been working on. After installing the 4.8, installing the Turbo 400 in the Blazer, I had realized that for some reason, yet to be determined, the adapter ring that you put in the back of your crankshaft to properly locate and space to your turbo-hydromatic transmission behind the LS engine is too long. Okay, so far, I'm not having a whole lot of luck understanding, because I don't have one of those early model 1999 6-liter extended crank hubs. All I have is this 2002 4.8 crankshaft with the regular register on the back of it. So by all the research I've done, all I needed to buy was that stupid adapter ring, slip it in the back of the crank, and everything should have been happy. Okay guys, here's the problem I'm having. Here is the Holeshot 3000 torque converter. It is fully seated into the case. You know, you can see, or maybe you guys can, you can tell, because it's done all the 3 clunks, but see how far this mounting ear is inside of the outside of the case. That's a visual representation that everything is seated fully. The problem I had when I use my adapter ring, fits perfectly in the back of the crankshaft. Only problem is when you bolt this Turbo 400 to the back of the 4.8, this adapter ring is so thick, that 1/2 inch of distance from where it seats on the crankshaft register to this part of the torque converter cannot move forward. Now, it was never pinched hard up against the internal plate or the bottom of the pump in the Turbo 400, because I could still turn it by hand, but I couldn't pull the torque converter to the flex plate. The mounting ears, tabs, lugs, whatever you want to call these things were a good, as best I could measure using drill bits and transfer punches as thickness gauges. It was 200 thousandths from touching the flex plate, and it had no extra movement fore and aft. Like, it couldn't pull forward to the flex plate, and it couldn't push back into the transmission any farther, which is a bad situation. This torque converter gets forced into your pump of your Turbo 400, it's going to eat the crap out of the gears, are going to eat the crap out of the pump housing, and that's bad news. So basically what was happening is this thing was fully seated, both on the converter and the crankshaft, but you couldn't get these to line up with the flex plate. So now I'm going through the process of measuring everything 5 times, trying to figure out what in the world is going on and why is this so hard. I've been doing a lot of measuring and figuring, ciphering, to try to figure out what in the world is going on, and do I need a different kind of an adapter? Because from what I found online and from my personal experience, you're only allowed to, like, from the torque converter being fully seated in the transmission, you're limited to a certain amount of distance that you can pull forward to meet your flex plate without running into a problem where your torque converter snout is properly engaging the pump gear. So I'm just sitting here going, okay, is it possible that this thing doesn't need one of these adapters? Doesn't seem likely, because from this step, which goes inside the crankshaft register, to this mating surface here is 1/2 inch. That's 500 thousandths. I am almost positive, now I will verify this online because I am getting old, you're not supposed to pull that torque converter 1/2 inch forward to engage your flex plate. Maybe I'm wrong, but that seems excessive. But I was thinking, well, I'll just have 200 thousandths milled off of this surface and everything will be perfect. No, that won't work. Here's why. The hub on the torque converter is 350 thousandths tall, okay? This inner surface is 495 thousandths where it engages the torque converter hub or center. Problem is, it will only go in up to 350 thousandths. You see what I'm saying? So no matter how much I cut off of this outside edge, whether it be 100 thousandths, 150 thousandths, or 200 thousandths, that center of the torque converter, the hub, is going to hit that inside lip, and it's only going to go in, I'm only going to gain about 130 thousand. Like, once you start doing the math and looking at, okay, this is on there, if I removed, yeah, you might be able to see that little scratch I put on there, but if I moved 130 thousandths, it would bottom out on hub or snout. This will still be pinched up against the crankshaft. So if I mill off 130 or 40 thousandths or 150 thousandths or whatever, the mounting tabs of the torque converter still are not going to be touching the flex plate. You know, I was trying to find a best case scenario where I could get it to come forward 200 thousandths, mount without any washer. Everybody I've seen so far in my research used one of these style. Did they just go ahead and bolt it together and put washers to shim the converter to the flex plate? Because if they did, there's literally no or very, very little clearance to that thrust of the engine bottoming out your gear in your pump in your Turbo 400, Turbo 350, whatever kind of transmission you'd be running. Turbo 400 Factory 4.8 flex plate, 2002 4.8 crank. You know, on paper, everything should have went together perfect, but it did not. So, last night my son and I yanked the motor and transmission back out of the Blazer. That was a treat. I loved that. Then I realized during the transmission R&R, I have to remove the 2.8 V6 frame stands on the cross member, because having that engine raised up even that 1 inch to 1 inch and a quarter makes the top bell housing bolt an absolute nightmare. You have the transmission case too close to your tunnel and your floorboard, you can't get sockets in there, you can't get extensions, nothing wants to work right. So since I've already fought with the clearance issues between the exhaust manifolds and the steering shaft, I'm just going to sawzall them stupid things off and get everything positioned and weld it to the cross member. Not exactly the update I wanted to give you guys, but you know, things don't always go right. Nothing more demoralizing than thinking that you're over the hump and you're starting to pick out and go purchase your fluids and all the, you know, spark plugs and different things you need to get the thing fired up, to then have to turn right back around and pull the engine and transmission back out. So yeah, I wasn't all that happy about it, but you know, there's no reason to throw something together that you know isn't 100% right, hoping that it won't break, especially when you got, you know, a good bit of time and money invested in it. So that's where I'm at. I wanted to post a video this weekend, but I just couldn't win. Like, I wanted to wait till I had a winning update work out. So I'm formulating my plan of attack right now, and going to get those frame stands that are left over from the 2.8 V6 removed, which I should have done a long time ago. And I'm going to try to figure out what's going on with this torque converter issue, so that I can get that within tolerance, within spec, and that way we can move forward. So anyway, that's where I'm at, guys. Apologize I didn't throw up a video this weekend, but I did work on it all weekend and just could not win. So thanks again for watching. Please, if you have any information at all concerning this torque converter fitment issue, please hit up the comments, let me know. Watch my videos, hit like, subscribe, share, hit the little bell, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching.